We went to Arizona State University. That's where we met. And so when we left Arizona State, she became a TV news anchor and I became a firefighter. So, between the two of us, we felt like we had life figured out. We had really good jobs. We were making really good money. And so we thought we had life all figured out. In the earning department, we just didn't really understand how to spend our money.
We liked to spend money. We loved to spend that money as quick as it came in. Mm-hmm. And you do that enough and you do that consistently. And what happens is you end up with a pile of debt. We both came from lovely families, but we were not really taught a healthy way to handle money. And we also kind of came out of college with these good paying jobs.
Yeah.
But what we didn't realize is we were already trying to live this lifestyle that took, our families 30 plus years to build up to. And we thought, well, of course, we make good money. We should be able to go and buy the nice car and buy the nice house on the nice part of town. And if we want to go on vacation, we should be able to go on vacation, right? We work hard. We deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we told ourselves all the time. And so then you have this young couple and newly married with some very poor, unhealthy financial habits that were instilled pretty early on.
Yeah, we thought we had it figured out until we didn't. We created this mindset that we deserved everything. And society tells you that, you can have everything you want, just, buy now, pay later. So we had this mindset that, yeah, we deserve everything. We could have everything. If we just, whatever we want, we could have.
At this point in time, I'm working in TV, morning show. I'd been there a while. You're on TV every day. You go to your local grocery store. People tend to know who you are. And so I'm there with our son, belt of groceries. It's all tidied up and they're put in the grocery bags. And she says, "This is your total." So I go and I pay for the groceries. Well, my card didn't work. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Mm-hmm. Okay. She goes, "Oh, it says the card's declined." Oh, well, so you go, okay, I got another one. So I do that one. It doesn't work, declined again. So now I'm starting to get a little embarrassed. And of course I go for the old excuse, "Oh, it was rubbing up against another card. I'm sure the magnetic strip is worn off and that's why it's not working." Because now I'm just thinking, what in the heck is going on? And so we try one more and it didn't work. Now I'm embarrassed. They can't know that I can't pay for my groceries. Why can't I pay for my groceries? I can't understand this. And I say, okay, I'll take my son, I'll run home and I'll get a check or cash and I'll come back and I'll get my groceries. So I grab our son, I run to the car, I call him, and I'm hot. I'm not happy. I am not smiling, sweet wife.
No. She calls me and I said, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine." But the truth is, we stopped kind of looking at our spending a year ago. And so I said, when I get home, we'll figure this out. So the next morning I get home and I remember it was Wednesday when I got home and we opened up our finances for the first time and started to look at, what do our credit cards look like? How much money's in savings? What do we have in the checking account? And I remember we were sitting at the kitchen table and we had maxed out 3 credit cards. We had overdrafted our account multiple times. Every time you overdraft, it was like a $35 charge. So we're sitting there, we have no money in savings, we have no money in our checking account, we had overdrafted our checking account, and we had maxed out our credit cards. And I remember looking at her and looking at this spreadsheet we put together. We were $52,000 in debt in 3 years of marriage. We had no money, we had a 10-month-old. It was Wednesday, and we didn't get paid till Friday. First thing that ran through me as a dad is, I can't buy formula for our 10-month-old. We couldn't put gas in our cars for 2 days until we got paid. And then I started thinking, what are our friends and family going to think of us? We've lived this, lifestyle for 3 years in front of them that we had it all figured out. And now all of a sudden we are completely broke. And the only way out of this, if we need money right now, is we have to call our mom and dad and ask them for money. And I think that was our rock bottom. February is when we went completely broke. we really didn't do anything till May, where we sat down and we started asking each other, where do we want to be 5 years from now? Where do we want to be 10 years from now, 30 years from now? And the first time in a long time, we were on the same page there. We wanted to be in the same place. So then it came to the decision of, okay, how are we going to get there? Not how am I going to take us there, or what are you going to do? It's how are we going to get there?
And so from that day, finally, April, May, is when we were like, okay, this is what we have to do. We first have to knock out this debt. If we want the next things to happen in our life, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and so forth, this has to go away first.
So the plan that we had is, okay, first we're going to create a budget. So for us, when we're looking at our budget priorities, we look at needs versus wants. So we really had to look at, okay, what do we need versus what do we want? We need the lights on, we need to pay the mortgage, we need to keep fuel in our cars, we need to pay insurance. But we want to go out to eat. We want to go on vacation. Once we were on the same page there, we became so laser focused on getting out of debt that we squeezed our budget down to throw every single dollar that we had extra at our debt. And then we also started increasing our income.
Every little bit counts. Like when you're looking at your finances, every little bit adds up when you're getting into debt, those little charges here and there. But the same goes for every little bit counts when you're getting out of debt. You make $20 here, you throw it at your debt. And those little wins every month when we saw the debt payoff slowly start to go down, 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 that was what we needed. That was the validation and affirmation that, okay, we're on the right track, we're cheering for each other, and our family matters most. And so just the excitement of that every month and knowing we were 1 month closer to getting it paid down was so exciting. And that still sticks with me, that feeling. And I still have it today. But I think what I didn't realize, and now here we are, 10 plus years later, I didn't realize the value in those months getting out of debt. What it taught me, I valued stuff. I valued the opinions of people. I valued lifestyle, and I cared so much what people thought, and stuff mattered. And now I'm like, none of that stuff matters. Like, I don't care about fancy cars. No offense to people that do, everybody has their thing. But like certain things that I've held with such high regard just don't really matter to me anymore. And I think it was just a beautiful lesson I didn't realize I needed to learn in that stage of my life, and it's stuck with me, and I could never imagine living that life again.
No. So on November 17th, 2011, so this was 7 months after we actually started the process of getting out of debt, because remember the first 2 months we just pointed fingers at each other. So November 17th, 2011, we owed one last debt. And I remember we were sitting at the computer, and I said, Andrea, we have more money in our checking account than we owe on this last debt, and we can actually pay this debt off today. And I remember we were driving to the bank to pay off our last debt.
Our son is in the back.
Our son's in the back, and all these emotions are coming through us because, we went, hit rock bottom in February. Then we went through that transition of pointing fingers at each other. Then we decided to get on the same page, but getting on the same page meant, getting on a budget, paying off debt nonstop. She's selling everything. We sold our cars. We sold furniture in our house. I worked nonstop overtime. I was cleaning pools. It was all of these things that we were just doing for the past 7 months. And every single month we kept stepping it up more and more and more. And now it was that moment that, oh my gosh, we're going to see the fruits of our labor. This is going to come to fruition. And so I remember we walk into the branch. And so I remember standing in line, and I had my checkbook with me. And, I'm like, this is really happening. And we go up, and I said, yeah, I'd like to pay off this account and close it. And I remember, I wrote that check out, handed it over, and got this little slip. It said, account balance, $0, 0 cents, paid in full. And that slip represented $52,000 paid off in that 7 months, just living this crazy life. And I remember, I get asked all the time, what did that feel like? And if I could explain it, it was like we were walking around with these backpacks full of bricks for years and years and years that we didn't even know we were wearing them. And as soon as we paid off that debt, it was like somebody just came up and lifted that weight off our shoulders. Like I actually felt it. We didn't know how to behave at first because we were in this mode of just nonstop paying off debt. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's over. We just did it.
But I think not only did it feel like this weight and this heavy burden was lifted, I also felt strong again. Like we weren't going to walk out of there and start right back to where we were 7 months prior. And there's all that research out there that says, it's this many days or this many months or this many years to build a new habit. I knew that at that moment we had built a solid habit and we were on the same page, and we would never, ever, ever get to that point again. And we haven't, because of the commitment we've made, but also that time it took to get out of it changed our behavior.
So we paid off our debt in 2011, and then we continued to stay on a budget every single month up to this point. And we're very open about sharing this with people because we're firefighter and a TV news personality. So we don't have like a background and, we don't have a bunch of letters next to our name in finance. But we were able to just live very simply on our plan, and our plan just every single month. And in July of 2020, every quarter we look at our net worth. And I remember in July of 2020, we looked at it and we had built a net worth of $1 million, meaning everything that we owned minus everything that we owed, which was just our mortgage, was more than $1 million. And I remember telling her, it was just consistent effort over time.
It's simple, but it's hard. Sticking with something over and over, especially when it's routine, and some months it's mundane. And when you're out of debt, you're not seeing that quick hit of win where you're like, yeah, another one paid off. Now it's just like, we just have to keep doing what we do, what we committed to. But it works.
It does work.
Start a budget early on. And whether you're in debt or not, start a simple budget, talk about money, and sit down with your spouse, get on the same page. But as much as a budget has been sort of preached to us that it's restrictive and it's no fun, it's actually what helps you create fun and freedom in your life every single day when you live within that.